Right guys, so today you join us at the wonderful Lindone Lakes in Doncaster, and we are covering micros and expanders going into the colder winter months to help you win more matches. So I'll land this one, I'll run you through the rig, then explain what I'm doing. Beautiful Lindome F1. So get this one unhooked, folks. And we'll run you through what the rig and what we are actually doing. Put a trimming shot on, folks. Run you through the rig. Right folks, I'm going to run you through the rig. The elastic is a 6 to 10. We're using a short kit today because we're fishing for predominantly F1s, catch an odd skimmer and an odd carp, but you'll still land them if you take your time. Going down to 2 number 8 back shots, to nitro 015 mono, to a 0.4 RWC float, down to number 9s spread evenly throughout my rig, so it's 7 number 9s. Going down to a 4-inch hook length, to a 010 to a F1 pellet. And I'll tell you a little secret. So on my actual rig, where your loop to loop connection is, on my loop on my main line, I put a shot on it so it closes the loop, so my rig just sits nicer. Where if I put it above my loop, it can sit crooked and my loops can open, so it's just a bit neater. It's just something I like to do. But also folks, for example, if I were going to catch, doing this, I'll catch a lot of skimmers, and where bite magnification is really bad, all I do, I just take that shot off and put it closer to my hook. With expanders being so light, the bites are rubbish, you don't really see them that well, so it always helps putting a shot closer to your hook. It just magnifies literally what's happening. And all I'm doing, I'm using a medium pot, so I can hold 2 lots of feed. You see a lot of people do it where they'll use a really small pot. They make it hard for themselves, where they'll use a really small pot, they'll go in, fit probably 20 micros in, tap the 20 out, then they've got to come back and refeed, where if I use a medium, now I've got a small on, where I can tap 20 in, sit there, and if I'm not had a sign after a while, I can tap another 20 in, so it means I'm in the water more, fishing more. It's cliche, but the saying is, if you're not in the water, you can't catch fish, so the more time I can spend in the water, the more fish I'm going to catch. And expanders are just dynamite 4mm original expanders. Fishery micros, no flavourings, no additives. And another tip folks, I'm giving too much away here, I'll tell you. Another tip is, when you're fishing with pole pots, especially maggots and pellets, when it gets really cold, you don't want to be feeding all over your peg. Like, you want to feed in one area and that's it. So for going back to what I said, if I feed my 20 micros, I go in and hook a fish, I've still got 20 micros in my pot, I come back, use my roller puller, and if my pot's the wrong way round, when I use it, I'm going to sprinkle bait at my feet, which I don't want to do. Worst case scenario, I do not want to do that. Where if you put it, it's a little tip, but it's massive. If you put your pole pot in line with your side puller, so when you ship back, I've got a fish on, My side puller's in my hand. When I pull, my pot's upright, so I'm never spilling bait round my peg. A little tip which is absolutely massive for winter fishing, especially when using maggots, things like that, where I want to tap 10 maggots and sit there. I hook an F1, I come back, my pot stays upright, I've not fed everywhere. Just little tips like that, folks, it makes a massive difference. I'll ship out, explain what I'm doing. So I want to forget about my rig at first. When feeding with a pole pot, you want to compromise the lean down. How you got to think of it, we're sat up on top of the water, so your pot naturally bends down. So what I like to do, I want to lean out and give my pole leeway for my pot. So I want to lean out further from a height, tap the pellets and make a noise, and then draw my pole back to a natural position. So then when I flick my rig out, my actual rig it's sent is in my loose feed, cause where if I sit how I'm facing, how I hold a pole normally, then I pop my bait in, the way the pot's coming down, the bait's actually sat towards me, so I'm not fishing over top of a pile. I'm fishing technically at the back of it, where if I give myself a leeway, lean forward, tap my bait in, then put my rig in, I'm fishing directly over my rig. I just get a better understanding of what's happening, rather than not fishing over a bait. But what makes micros and expanders so good at this time of year as well is the instant reaction with pellets. You'll see it through summer, happens in winter. Like when maggots, as it starts to get cold, I feel like you have to prime them. You can't really start on maggots. Where pellets, you can get that initial run while priming your maggot line. Few nuisances there, folks. Just knocking the expander. Yeah, but as I was saying, pellets give you a much faster start, so you can prime your maggot lines for like that good run late on if that's maggot short, or you fish maggots a bit further out at like 13 metres. And the key to pellets as well, you don't have to feed a lot of bait to draw fish in. Like the pulling power of pellets is actually quite frightening. So all I'm doing, I'm flicking my rig out, pulling back on it so my rig's on a curve. All you're doing now is just being nice and patient. Sit and wait for a bite. And I'll go through the different ways of feeding once I've caught a couple of fish. No. Look at that, a lovely little bite, and all you want to do, folks, is just give it a nice little lift. You don't want to give it a big strike, because if you expand, if you give it a big strike, your expander's going to come off. And that's not what you want. We've lost that one, unfortunately. And I think he was in the mouth, he's just not upright. But yeah, like I said, if you miss a bite, you don't want to give it a big whack. You just want to give it a lift, and if you do miss a bite, you can just lower your rig back in. But it honestly couldn't be more simpler with this approach. just getting the fundamentals right, understanding what's actually happening in your peg. So you'll get days where, like I explained feeding, where you've got clumping, which clumping is just a pole pot, pushing your micros in, lowering your pole pot to the water, letting them come out of their own accord. So you're making no noise. So you're basically just sneaking baiting where you want to sit over a little trap. Then you have other days where what I'm doing now, you've got sprinkling, where I'm dropping it from height to make noise to try draw fish in. So most of the time I do like to start clumping just to see what's in my peg. Now I feel like if clumping's not right, so I go in, clump 20 micros, I've not caught anything, and I come back do it again and I feel like I'm not drawing no fish into my peg, I can go the other way, put a sprinkle pot in, then try make noise to draw fish into my peg. Rather than just sit there constantly clumping bait, because it's obviously not right. But they'll tell you what's right on the day. Like if I was sprinkling micros and started foul hooking a lot of fish, I'd rather feeding too much or I'm making too much noise and drawing the fish up. F1s especially, they like to come up and intercept bait off of the bottom. And at this time of the year, there's not enough fish competing through the water to catch shallow, so you want to keep them all on the bottom. So that's when clumping would come into play over sprinkling, but there's no set rule for it, it's just figuring that out on the day as the angler. So there's some fizzing on the back of my float now, folks. So there's clearly some fish in my peg. It's quite silty, so they could easily dig you out. That's another thing to just pay attention to, just what you're fishing over. At this time of the year, it's not as bad as the middle of the summer, where the middle of the summer they dig you out really fast. This time of the year when it gets cool and you get away with it, they don't feed as aggressive, but definitely still keep it in mind because it can happen. But all I want to do, I've sat there for a little while now, I want to push back forward, try to draw some fish in, sprinkle 20 or so markers in. All I want to do is relay my rigging, so flip my rig past my portet. I don't know if I forgot to mention it as well. With my hook with egg sander fishing, even when it's really cold, I still want to use a big hook in a fine wire, so I'll still use like a 16, just because your hook's buried in your expander, for one, less likely to fall off because it's a bigger gape of a hook. As long as it's a fine wire, you're okay. As long as you don't use like a really thick hook, you'll get away with it. It's not like maggot fishing where my hook's exposed, where I want a small hook and a fine wire hook. So there's fish coming to my peg straight away, then I've had a liner straight away. Like I've sprinkled them micros and it's 4.5 foot probably, where I think that's definitely intercepting my micros on the way down. So if that kept happening, I'd definitely look to switch into clumping it, sneaking my bait in where I'm not making no noise, because the fish are there. I'm just making it difficult for them to catch by making too much noise. Like if it happened once, it wouldn't bother me. If it was like a current thing and it kept happening loads, I'd want to change it and try to fix what's happening. It's just thinking about what's actually happening in your peg. Fish tell you how they want to be caught. It's just you as an angler. You have to understand what's happening in your peg, when you're feeding, how much you're feeding. A lovely little bite, so give it a little lift. Let's say we've got a stocky on here, or it's an F1 of some sort. But as you can see there though, what I meant by keeping your pole pot upright. You see that? Look, I've come straight back to my puller, and look, one pull, my pot's upright and I've not fed anywhere in my peg. Beautiful F1. They're bonus fish at this time of year when it's really hard. And you do catch a lot of skimmers doing it like this way as well. Like I was on Willers at Lindome Lakes Friday. I won the open match with £66. I've caught £35 of skimmers fishing the same way, a bit more refined fishing, not feeding as much with skimmers, and also feeding little bits of F1 sweet as an impact bait, and I'll run you through when I'd introduce that a bit later on when I've caught a few more fish. So say if I've gone through all the procedures where I've like sprinkled and I can't draw anything in, the next step would be to use so I use Dynamite F1 Sweet. It's very similar to a crushed expander, where I'm not feeding anything but I'm making a cloud as well. I'm not feeding a lot of it, probably feed half of a small pot, just enough to make a cloud to try and draw something in. I wouldn't do it every time though, that'd be like an impact where I want to like eke a fish out my peg when it's like rock bottom. But you want to get your rig over the micros as fast as you can, just to see what's happening, because if one comes shooting through your peg, you're going to get a liner straight away. Where noise definitely seems important at the moment. So that like a little lift, beautiful. Might even be a carp this. I'm going to say this is a carp. But this is what I mean by using balanced tackle. You set off fast. It might just be a bigger one. But that's what I mean by using light tackle. Balanced gear, you can land anything from skimmers to big carp. And this time of the year when you're fishing for £50 to win matches in most places, you don't need many bonus carp. You catch a £10 carp, you've caught 10% of your weight there. And like I said, you also have your maggot line that you're going to get a run on at some point. So just take your time. You can literally land anything with balance gear as long as you take your time. There's no rush at this time of year. It's that cold. Every fish you hook, if you land it, you're always going to be up there. Where if you try rush, pull lips off, you lose fish. It's not like summer where we're in fish races. And another massive tip as well is having your float dotted down to the best you can have it. Like I want it literally flush with the water, so any sign or any indication of fish coming in my peg I know. Especially with how light expanders are, the F1s especially can reject them, and skimmers can reject them really quick. And if you fish with a big bristle out when it's cold, like a lighthouse, you're never going to see anything. He's a carp, I was right. I think he's a mirror. But like I said, if you're fishing for £50, £5 to £10 carp, you've got 5 to 10% of your weight. And if you put £10 of accident fish in there, like skimmers, because places where heavily stocked with skimmers, you're definitely going to catch £10 of them by mistake. It happens loads. So if you look at it like that, that's 20% of your weight there. That's the best way to look at it, is break your match down. Don't think I've got to go catch £50. Just break your match down and think what's actually happening. Like I said, just take your time. You've got light gear on them. There's no rush. I keep like popping up over here today. A beautiful fish that one is. So we'll catch you one more. Then we'll end the video there. He's probably a £6 carp. He's beating me up. Might try hold him up for you. He's a bit lively. And he's hooked smack bang in the middle of the top lip where I want it to be. where if I catch in F1s, like I said earlier on in the video, and they're not hooked right top of the lip, where I feel like they're getting away with grabbing my pellet and me not seeing it, they're ejecting it, I'll just move it a shot closer to the hook clamp, so my magnification's even better. See if he'll let me hold him up. I don't know if he will. We'll try. Beautiful fish. We'll slip this one back and we'll catch one more. But yes, like I was saying, so that'd be the procedure I'd follow. Then like, if I wanted to get like a last initial fish out and peg or a run, I'd switch to feeding. Dynamite F1 sweet, not a lot, just enough to draw a fish in the peg as an impact bait. There's nothing there for them to eat, it's just a cloud. And when the water clarity drops, it's absolutely frightening how much of a difference that can make. You don't really worry about your rig at first, just concentrate on feeding accurate, line up your marker, lean forward to compensate for that pot. Like 20 micros I've seen best, so tap roughly 20 micros in. Flip your rig past. And when your trap's set like that, just sit and be nice and patient. It's not a rush at this time of year. Especially when you break your match down or I explain that you're fishing for £50, you've caught that carp, £10 of silvers, it's leaving you to catch £30 in hindsight. It's not a lot of fish, especially when if you've got a maggot line where you're going to get a run of fish. There's a fish in my peg at the moment. I've had like a few signs, a few wobbles on the float. They're coming into the noise pretty fast. So that's telling me this is right. I started sprinkling and missing bites, foul looking fish, and I just switched to clumping. Sneak my bait in. Sent me a voicemail, that one. There's a few fish in the peg now. So it's all it is about now is just figuring out the fastest way of catching them. So what I'm going to do, just for the last fish, I'm going to go and actually clump my bait rather than make noise, because I feel like there's fish already in the vicinity or even in my peg. So I don't need to draw any fish in. So what I'm going to do is put 20 or so micros in. Lightly press them in. I don't want it where I have to smack my pole to get them to come out, because that means they're going to mushroom out my pot and spread over a bigger area. When I'm setting a little trap, I want to try to keep it as tight as physically possible. Where if I have to proper tap them out my pole, they're going to mushroom and go everywhere. But also again, they'll lean forward. What I want to do is put the pole pot in the water, let them sneak out. So I've made no noise. I'll just lay my rig in. and get my rig straight over the top of my pile. Just like that, folks. Took a little bit longer than I expected, but just take your time. Lovely bites though, absolutely lovely. Beautiful it is. Oh, that netting, folks, shocking. Proper F1 though. We'll get this one back and wrap the end of the video up. 10 out of 10 that. Proper F1 that. £2.5. Maybe a bit more. Slipping back. Right folks, thank you for watching. I hope you learnt a few things there. I give a few too many tricks away there. I think I told you a bit too much, but we really appreciate the support on the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also comment what you'd like to see us do next. It also helps us with ideas, and if you're enjoying the videos, it makes us want to go out more and do more videos for you lovely lot to learn. Thank you very much. Till next time, tight lines.